Today we want to start on a topic that I know we will do for a number of days, and it is a topic on identifying life purpose. A big subject that people have discussed for quite some time. So we will read briefly, and then we will be able to discuss. So this is. I hope you people are seeing the screen. Yes. So somebody can read for us. It's just like 3 pages that we want to read.
Okay, I can read.
Yes.
Identifying life's purpose. Here's a topic that eludes many people. Some do not even want to think about it because it causes them some sort of mental torture. Have you ever paused to think of your purpose in life? Has it ever bothered you to know the reason you were created? In case you believe in creation theory like I do, here is another way to put it. What would you like to be remembered for? The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you discover why you are born. Quote by unknown. Not long ago, I was talking to a lecturer. He had been a great success in the field of finance in the public sector and had retired, or so did I think. He went back to class to pursue his PhD while working as a lecturer. He had just read a story about me that appeared in one of the dailies. He was asking if I could speak to his son. As we kept talking, he said, "But you're lucky. You seem to have known about your calling early and started pursuing it. What would you say of someone like me at this age?" His voice sounded of despair. I learned a great deal out of that conversation. Is there such a thing as the right time for us to know our purpose in life? And who is responsible? Many people look for happiness but not seem to find it. We keep thinking that if I get this degree, I'll be happy. If I get this job, I'll be really happy. Or if only I would get married to so and so, I'd be very happy. But soon after that happens, you realize that the happiness you expected is either absent or short-lived. This is because we haven't attached a major value to our lives and thus keep going to either impress others or look for attention. If you live without a life mission, you are as good as not living because you'll not be happy. OPP. One of the reasons you see or hear majority of people tired of their jobs is because they have no major value attached to it except to pay bills. Go around and ask people one at a time, why do you work? And you'll quickly realize that people work just because they have to. No drive, no major mission. They do what they do because they do not have a choice. This brings lethargy and boredom. People just going through the movements. People just going through the movements. It is one of the greatest causes of despair and even harmful indulgences that cause troubles in families, workplaces, and communities. Have you ever heard some people saying, thank God it's Friday? Or those who say, like, this day has really been long. This month is not coming to an end. That tells you something. They are not enjoying what they do. They're not having fun. You cannot live your dream in such circumstances. If there's no enemy within, the enemy without can do you no harm. An African proverb. A writer once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you discover why you are born. If up to this day you have never bothered about this, I urge you to most solemnly, kindly do it. Do it now. Do it immediately. Let this thought provoke your heart and pierce your soul. Immerse yourself into it and start thinking about it until you have an answer. I will try to give you a few guides and hints, then you go to do the homework. It will make you rejuvenate your life and get excited once more. If not, all the more, perhaps for life. You'll feel exhilarated and wanting to wake up and go and do what you're meant to do. It is ultimately the start of living your dream, living a life of bliss and fulfillment. Of all the people who are truly living their dreams, you will hardly find one who is doing what he or she doesn't believe is his or her life purpose. Thank you.
I think we can reach there. Yes, welcome all the people who are joining us right now. So we can pick it from there. And this is a subject that has been a big deal to me, I think from class 7 or 8. I did not know it in the language that we speak it today, but I came to learn that that is exactly what it means. I remember, and I think I've written this also inside that very book. Probably we are going to read it. And nowadays, I can't remember everything in the book. I need to read it to remember that it's there. But in class 7, I think in class 8, I realized that many people, many pupils, fellow students in school were not proceeding to secondary school despite having brains. One particular friend of mine was called Nyayo. Well, they were a little senior compared to myself in age, but they had come to repeat. There was another one called Isaiah. And Isaiah had repeated like 3 times. And every time he was repeating, he was being told by the parents that next year, he would get school fees to proceed to secondary school. And even by the time we were leaving secondary school, Isaiah was still the top student. He had been leading all those years. He was brainy. I followed him. I was number 2, then Nya was number 3, and we started competing amongst ourselves, and we enjoyed our time. But I learned that many people were not reaching their secondary school, were not going to secondary school because they did not have school fees. And some of us, again, coming from our background, food was luxury. To date, I still have trouble with keeping meal times. I keep telling my children that, I'm not really keen about breakfast because throughout my life, breakfast was a luxury. I never had it, by the way, throughout my childhood. Probably once in a while on Christmas Day, I don't know, but I can't remember. And the same was with lunch. We would eat because there is food to be eaten, but we could not predict when next. And I kept wondering, why is it that some people have and some people don't? They are living under the same environment. And looking at people missing their school chances, I kept wondering why. And I remember I came up with a statement in class 8 that Kenya loses a lot of brilliant brains due to school fees problem. But those days, I didn't hear of any scholarships and such like things that I nowadays hear. There are quite many nowadays, but then they were not there. If they were, I wouldn't have wasted a whole year after class 8. And that is when this idea of I need to find out that which makes the difference between people who tend to live the life that seems comfortable, seems well equipped, and those who always lived in want. We kept borrowing almost everything. And I've said this before, one of my neighbors whom we kept borrowing from, one time asked me, do you people think I'm a shop? But I'd just gone to borrow a matchbox and then salt, and then now was going, oh, the little unga that we had is not enough if you can add a little. And I was also feeling bad about it. And that's when I heard this drive. That's when I generated that drive to be able to live. Before then, I started imagining, is life all about school, 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 then work? And I was told, you know, during school, we would have holidays afterwards for some time, and then you go back. And I hated waking up early. Even to date, I don't like it. I do it occasionally, like on Mondays. And all the other weekdays, I wake up, but drop children to school, then I can go back to sleep, by the way. So I was imagining, is this the life that people want to live? That you wake up, go to school, wake up, go to school. Then afterwards, I was told you will wake up to go to work. And then I was wondering, why do people work? Why do people do what they do? Do you just work because you want to eat? To me, I found life very meaningless and boring. And I really did not want to have a long life. Until that day, when this idea came to me, I need to find out what makes the difference, what causes life paths to be different. And this, again, was inspired by the people I used to hear. They were saying they were brilliant in school, including my dad. He was always top number one, whatever. But we were still living a very desperate life. And I'm just saying this to introduce the topic. I started seeking that I may find, and that is brought to me here. So I have a lot of enthusiasm about life. Thereafter, I said now I can live up to age 125, and I think I will be there. So people can contribute from what we've read, from what I've just introduced. You can say your own thinking. Do you think you're living your dream? Do you think you are in the right path? Are you in your life purpose? Yeah, is what you are doing what you are meant to do? And is it important? Yeah, have you ever paused to think about it? Yeah, why do you do what you are doing? Is it for money, or you really feel satisfied doing it? The floor is now open.
Oh, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Elsie.
For me, for sure, I'm currently in my purpose. I resigned from my job 4 years ago to follow my passion, which is education and empowering the young people. So there before, I was employed for 20 years, and I had to step out. You know, I had to ask myself, is this what life is all about? And when I realized the answer was no, so the question was then what? What now? And what I did, I went back to school, trained as a teacher. I'm now a teacher, applying for my TSC, and also now in mental health because of the area I want to take, which is psychology. And I can definitely say I am in my purpose now because, yes, I'm not employed. It's not about the money. I remember Mr. Masharia, may he rest in peace. He told us, if you ever get a job or later on in life, if it comes to you questioning whether it's money or fulfillment, let the fulfillment be more than the money. So never do anything because of the money. Because where I was getting very good money because I'd gotten up there to the tops. But it's just the satisfaction. And for me right now, I feel the satisfaction, even if it's one fish. If you remember the story of the one fish, the boy who was throwing one fish back in the ocean, and the old man was asking him, really? What difference does this make to the starfish? There are so many starfish that are on the sea. So whenever I think of that story, the young boy responded and said, well, he picked up one starfish, threw it back in the water and said, it made a difference to that one fish. So for me, every child, every young adult that I interact with, for me, it's enough. It's just one fish I'm throwing back in the water for him or her to continue swimming. And I know one day I'll build a community of young people who are empowered to keep encouraging other young people. So definitely OPP, my purpose.
Elsie, I'm really delighted to hear that. Very few people say that. And that's why from what we've read, you hear people talking about, hey, it's been a long day, boring, I'm bored. Recently, I was asking another lady, she was telling me, I'm very bored. Nikamuuliza, what does it mean to be bored? How do people get bored? I've never gotten bored in life. I don't know how people get bored. Yeah. And it sounds strange, but the moment you are in harmony with life, you're in harmony with your purpose, the room for boredom is not there, because you're already living your dream. And as you said, money, if we just pursue money, then that is the time we will feel like we are empty. We are empty. But I'm really happy to hear what you had to make that decision. This reminds me, a couple of weeks ago, I met a friend of mine. They finished college well after me, I think probably 7 or something years later. And he did medicine, specializing in dentistry. So I asked him, oh, we met in church. Are you still working on people's dental formula? He said, yeah, it's too late to change. I listened to the heart. It's too late to change. In other words, I'm stuck there. Thank you. Yes, somebody else. Dr. Eda, I know you have a fantastic story about this. You can share.
You're saying that I have a fantastic story.
Yes, you do.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Elsie, but I think she was being too humble, because there are many people who would love to take their child to a school where the owner has that kind of vision and mission and a heart for the young people. So Elsie, tell us more about your school in Naivasha, because people would love to bring their children to such a place.
Oh, Dr. Edda, you had to do that.
Yes, I had to do that. Because if I had a child, if my children was, all my children have left home and they're working, but if I had a chance now to take my children to a school with an owner like you, definitely, you can't be that humble.
Oh
Yeah?
dear. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. We have a school in Naivasha, Mount Longonot Schools, and it's a wonderful place. Our motto is changing the game, and we are working with children from kindergarten all the way to grade 8. Now working on junior high school. So we've been there for around 5 years now.
And I've been there.
Yes.
Wow, yes.
There.
And I'm sure, yeah, OPP was there and he blew the house down because of his story. You know, the children were really impressed by that.
Yes, they were. Thank you. Glory to God. Glory to God.
Amen. Mm.
So, Dr. Eda, move on
Yeah.
now.
You're still going back to me, eh?
Yeah,
Well,
people learn from stories. And I heard your story and it was fantastic. You are a typical example of what our parents would have done as well. That you went to medicine. Now, I've just started. No, go. It's your story. It's not my story.
well, I don't think there's any parent who wishes evil for their child, but most parents would want the best for their child. And there are certain traditional careers which parents see as the best way for their child to move ahead. They are called the big five. I don't know, engineering, medicine, law, piloting. What was the other one? I don't know. But anyway, there's the big five. And so at that time, I didn't have career guidance, which I think is very important for people to get career guidance according to their personality traits and the career that will fulfill their purpose according to what God has written in their DNA. because every child is completely different. Every person is completely different with gifts and talents, even in the same family. And so the job that you do, the career that you do, should always be in line with your purpose, which will be in your gifting that God has given you, rather than you trying to fit into a career that doesn't really go well with you. So as a child, I always used to read psychology books, and every time there'd be a magazine, I'd go straight to the problem page, which if you observe your child, you'll find out what really makes them tick. So from the beginning, I think it was mental health, because I always used to ask, why did that person do this? It really used to fascinate people's behavior. I used to stare at people and wonder why they behave the way they do. Yeah, so I went into medicine because I had passed all the subjects with distinction, all the sciences. And I also passed all the arts with distinction. And the teachers, I think at that time, career guidance was not so important. The teachers were like, you better go into the sciences and do medicine, because all these arts you can always do as a course later on, but you can never waste the scientists, the sciences, maths, chem, bio, used to have these short things, PCB, CG, MCB. No, you can't waste those things, because I wanted to do French, art, and maths. I want to do languages. And they said, no, you can't waste those brains. Yeah. So I went into medicine, and absolutely, the first year was really, really difficult for me, especially when we went and we saw the dead bodies and were told these cadavers will be your colleagues for the rest of the year. You'll be operating on them as you study anatomy and physiology. I went and hid in the bathroom, I think, for a week. I was very sick for a week. And secretly, I tried to get out and do an arts course in BCom. I went to apply to the university if I could go and do BCom. And they told me, you finish this year, and then we'll see at the end of the year, first year. Because I knew that was not my calling, cutting up dead bodies and looking at organs and all that. And so at the end of the year, they said, I went back to the faculty, and they said, you know what they told me? Now that you have finished year one with flying colors, can you proceed to year two and finish this course which you applied for? So I was like, oh my God, I can't say anything to my parents. Yeah, so I finished medicine, and I think it was very grueling and very difficult, but mainly because I was not in my purpose. But I did the best that I could with all the psychological trauma that was there. That 5 years of trauma. And so I think I did the best that I could. And I think there are many other doctors who are like me, who are not in their purpose, but society's expectations are there. And so you pretend to be happy, well, I think the best part of it was seeing patients get well. But also I was very devastated when I would lose a patient, which was not really the normal. So at the end of it, and also because I had entered medical school with a history of some severe childhood trauma, I was struggling with that at the same time. So every time I would see blood, every time I would see death, because I hadn't resolved my childhood trauma, I think I wasn't really getting the full benefit of being a healthy, functional doctor. And so because of that unresolved trauma, I tried to medicate my pain with tranquilizers. And so I got worse and worse into depression, until even through trying to, now the norm was to do 3 years and then go back and do a master's. So me and my friend, who had also joined medicine, quote unquote, by mistake, we said we would go to the ward which had the lowest death rate. That was the I ward. And so we went and we both studied ophthalmology, but still my depression got worse and worse. And at the end of the day, I was practicing as an ophthalmologist. I eventually lost the job because I went into decline, and I realized these people are not going to renew my contract. So I had to think very fast and know what to do. Around 2014, I changed careers and I went into mental health because I'd not been helped by psychiatrists. I'd not been helped by psychologists. So I said, let me go and try and crack this code and understand why I'm not able to get better from my trauma. I don't think trauma was a big thing in those days in psychology. They just used to pump patients with drugs until you become a zombie. And so I just decided 2014, I changed my career and I did counseling psychology. And yeah, sure. Actually, they didn't renew my contract and I lost my job and I lost my career. But now I'm much happier because, well, the money is much less. Actually, sometimes you can go without seeing a client for a very long time. But I guess that's because I'm not known. But at least you get the satisfaction of helping somebody, because I vowed that, yeah, I said I wanted to crack this code. And I believe that I'm living my purpose now because I'm able to help people, even if it's pro bono, even if it's at my church, even if it's just having a conversation with somebody and trying to understand their childhood traumas. And so this is my purpose now. I'm actually living in my purpose, though it doesn't have any monetary returns. When I compare myself to how miserable I was in theater, in the operating theater, doing operations, I would practically get a heart attack before surgery, the day before surgery. And because I would always imagine everything possible that could go wrong in the theater. And I don't think you're supposed to live like that, life like that. I had many successful operations. I think one of the greatest things about eye surgery is helping somebody blind to see. The next day when they can see, I remember once there's a guy who came and he was blind and I removed his cataract and he could see. But of course, I was very traumatized by, as usual, before the surgery, but he ended up seeing very well. And he came to the hospital with a huge turkey, about, I don't know how tall that turkey was. And I was supposed to take the turkey and go and cook it at home. And I was like, do I really take this turkey? So there was those joyful moments, but I think the trauma was much more than the joy because I used to react so badly. But now the thing that I'm doing now is helping others to see themselves. And because that is what I think my calling is, to help the blind see their own, because one of the most difficult things in life is to know your purpose and to know who you are and understand who you are from a point of view of your childhood and your childhood traumas and helping them come out of it. So helping the blind see in a different way is my purpose right now. Because so they say that from your pain comes your purpose. And the reason why I lost so many years was because nobody was there to help me see how much God loves me and what my real purpose in life was. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eda. Now, that is a typical example, and thanks for sharing. It's a great story. That's a typical life that a good number of people live. We are put into certain box according to certain prescriptions, and so we are forced to live that particular life. And that's why even if you meet some doctors who are really not called into it, they cannot progress much, and they can go on strike and leave the patient suffering. The moment you are where you are supposed to be, money is very secondary. Money will follow you. You will not follow money. You will not do it for the money, but money will follow you. There will always be that time when people look for you. If you check people like Ben Carson, that being his real passion, real desire, he was able to ascend. And this is one of the ways I see Aloysius was asking, we discuss how to identify. We are just starting the discussion. And from the stories, you are able to see that, one, you will always know, your heart will tell you, and you will always be incompatible. You feel some degree of incompatibility. Thank you very much. Somebody else would like to share their own thoughts, experience on the same matter, or reflection on what we read? Yes, John?
Let me go. I think, I think most of the time when we live our purpose, we have to live our lives intentionally for us to be able to live our purpose. Because if you're not living your life intentionally, then it means you're not headed anywhere. And I've always said you cannot go to a job that you don't like, driving a Mercedes, and you say you're successful. You have to go to that job with all your heart every morning and look forward to going to that place of work and all that. And when you come to find your purpose, most of the time, like Elsie and Ed have said, money is never the factor. Money is never the in thing. You make decisions whereby money is the last thing that you want to put in front. And I think for me personally, I think 2 years ago, I think I took a break just to align myself with my purpose. And by what I mean by aligning myself was that I was going to live my life intentionally. I was going to align myself with God, the universe, so that whatever it is that I do, I was not going to put money in front of me, so that that money comes first. So I think like right now, what I'm involved with, I'm trying to empower women and widows in the rural setup economically. So I'm doing it not for me. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm just doing it to change the lives of women who need to be empowered, who have nobody to empower them, And for me, that one gives me fulfillment, to see a woman back in the village being able to support their family and being able to put food on their table. And the village setup, sometimes women are married, they have many kids, the men are busy having their drinks, and then kids are not going to school, not because the parents, because education now is in government schools is free, because maybe their widows or the men are not able to provide. They spend most of their time in alcohol dens, and I think this is across the board. So and I feel this is a calling, and after a long search, and after just aligning myself with God and asking Him which direction should I take as a person, So being a person who has been in business for a very long time, and finding no purpose in what I used to do earlier, because what I used to do was I used to just make money, and then you make money, and then after that, now what? You have all the money that you want to have, then now what? So that's when I decided, no, I need to be able to do something that will be so fulfilling, not only to me, but also to a community or a society in large. So for us to be able to live our purpose, we have to be intentional. We have to learn to appreciate small things, because I know most of the time people live like zombies. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you come from work, you come home, you chill. The weekends, people do what they need to do, and you think you're living your life. But by the end of the day, so many people, like Dr. Eda said, do not take time to search within, just to go in within, and find out, what am I here for as a person, as an individual? What fulfillment am I getting out of this life? What am I giving out of this life for me to be able to get something out of it? You know, we are so busy looking for happiness outside here. I was asking a friend of mine, a doctor friend, has masters in what she's a pathologist, and right now she's not employed. She's trying to look for work, and she's struggling. So I was asking her, what are you under your skin without the title of being a doctor? You as a person, is that title the one that gives you clout, that you feel that you can stand in front of people? Or when you take that title, you can still feel the same person, you can be comfortable under your skin? Because the moment you're not comfortable under your skin without the title, then you haven't found your purpose. So we are living a life that we want to be identified with the things that we do, thinking that that is our purpose. But the moment you listen to stories like Dr. Eda, Elsie, and you know, people who have stood the ground and are able to identify themselves comfortably with where they started, where they are right now, those are people who are fully living their purpose. And most of the time you will hear money is not involved in this. So yeah, that is, I think that is my take. Thanks.
Thank you very much, John. And by the way, it should be known that money will follow you. The other way, you'll be following money. That's the way it works. Because, and we will read it here, you cannot make as much money as you desire if you are less than the best. Those things work together. Yes, Rachel.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yes, thank you, Peter, for this great session you usually have in the morning. I've been following you for some time. And now, yes, the topic is a great topic that is you are discussing today. And as for me, these are all for me because I discovered my purpose about back in 2018. Those are around 4-5 years. And how it came to me as any other person. When I was in school, you see, you are taught, you are encouraged to perform well. And I used to perform. And being a firstborn in the family, I had to be the best so that I will lead the family in the right direction. And I performed well. I went to university. I did a course in business administration, accounting. But after I graduated, it took me a long time before I found a job. But I could not think of anything else apart from securing a job, because that is how I was conditioned. That is how I was programmed through education, that the only thing which I was supposed to do is to get educated and get a job. And now my parents are pushing me, relatives, tamaking, you know, the tamaking all over to get a job. Finally, I landed a job with a financial institution, which I did with 3 financial different institutions for 13 years. But in 2016, something happened and I was like, no. I sat down and asked myself, is it the life I was supposed to live? Because I was struggling with climbing the ladder, as many does. And with the way organization work, it was difficult for me. And I remember that 2016, what happened, the position I was acting for was, for sure I could have taken the position because I was acting for a branch manager who had moved to another organization. I acted for 4 months and I was like, it is automatic. I'm going to get this position. But to my shock, it happened that I didn't get it. And when the moving out manager told me, Rachel, you need to know people. And it shocked me. Is it my performance or is it knowing people? that I should climb veranda. So I sat down. I went back to and sat down with myself and asked myself so many questions. But eventually, God worked through, and I told God, no, this is now enough. I cannot live like this. I go to work. I'm fighting with my people. I am not getting the happiness I want to. So from that day, I engaged myself with a life coach. I've been walking through my journey with 3 life coaches. And that is how I started realizing life is not about just working, paying your bills, and living that day. That is not the life. But there is something God created me to do. So, how I came to discover my purpose, I discovered my purpose from the pain I went through my journey because I was a credit officer. I used to advance money to people in business, in employment. They get money, but eventually I realized I could have worked with person for 5 years, but the way I found this person in the business is the same way this person is after 5 years. And this person could have gone to a level of even getting more than 3 million, but there is nothing that is changing in the business. And I realized there is a gap. What exactly is missing in this is that people get money, but they don't know how to use it. And I was a victim in it because I'm getting my salary. I am just living, paying bills. Then I wait for the next payment. I pay bills. There comes an MOU with my employer. We can be able to get loans at a good deal. I get the loan, and eventually I don't see what I've done with the loan. So that is how I decided. I learned that this thing, it has to have an answer. And I came in and started doing my research. I went on learning about financial literacy, which in 2018, I came to discover what this is the gap, this is the problem. So I started working on myself first and I learned it. I had to bring myself to a place where I have a good relationship with money. I'm able to manage the salary that I am getting to have it more work for me. And then after that, I realized, no, this is now where the problem is. And that is how I decided, can I now go on and help people to have a good relationship with money? And when I started doing that while I was still in employment, I could feel the fulfillment. When I sit down with somebody and I help this person, I am giving you this loan, but first of all, this loan, you have to put it in the right purpose. And I could help somebody. And when 2 or 3 people came back and told me, Rachel, you really helped me, because I could have somebody apply for 3 million, but at the end of the day, this person, what the business needed was just 1 million. And that money, he or she could invest in the business and be able to have the loan paid without difficulties, and the business started progressing. I realized that is where now my space is, and I came in. And in 2019, I decided, let me now do it fully because I feel fulfilled, I feel joy, and it is something that is flowing in me, and I'm ready to do it for the rest of my time. Because when you discover your purpose, there is nothing like retirement. And I say today, this I will do till my last breath because you are fulfilled. You're not looking for money. Like now, since COVID came in, people have been facing challenges, and it is difficult to have people who come and voluntarily they want to pay you. So I've been doing a lot of voluntary work where I'm working with people, helping them to be able to start now having money work for them. So it is a good topic, and I would encourage us. What I have seen the problem and the challenge, not just a problem, but a challenge with our system is that we just go to get education for knowledge, but we really need to get coaching and mentorship. It is a gap in our society. I don't know how. Like now, I'm happy for Elsie, who is running a school, who is in education sector. how we can come in and help these young people to know that, yes, your parent is a mentor, is a coach, but you need to walk through with a professional mentor or a coach so that you discover your purpose early. Because by the time you are getting into college, ama university, I would really love to have people go there to pursue their purpose and to be able now to live their purpose. Because the moment you attain adult age in Kenya, which is 18 years, it is very key to be responsible for your life and move through your purpose, because God has given us so many years to live. I'm just reading a book called Ikigai. It is a Japanese book, and I'm coming to discover how many people, it is about how people live long. And why do most of the people live long to 100 and above years is because they are in their purpose. They are flowing. They are doing what they enjoy every day. It is very key. So I would encourage someone here, if you have not discovered your purpose, be intentional, take the lead, start discovering it. It is something you can learn and you flow with it. And I'm sure you'll be very happy and joyful as you continue with your life. Thank you and God bless you.
Very beautiful, Rachel. Thanks for sharing. You know, this is something that people take lightly. And when I was growing up, most of my teens, I would ask people, when I started thinking about this, yeah, and even in my early 20s, yeah, let me not say early 20s or 20s, because maybe I'm still in 20s, you know, according to people. Yeah, what's your purpose, or what's your reason for living? And I realized that it imposes a lot of mental torture to a lot of people. You've mentioned a lot of beautiful things there. One is no retirement. When you're in that line, you are never going to retire, because you are within what you are created to be. Just like a mango tree does not retire, they will continue to produce until the end of their lives. And it is linked to living long, because you cannot live a fulfilled life. You cannot live long if you are not living a fulfilled life. You see, you get frustration, and you realize that there is really no meaning. You do not have a reason to live long if you have no meaning in your life. So that's very critical. And taking time to deliberately look for it. And let me tell you, even this Power Monday thing, a lot of people have asked me, so how do you earn money from this? It's not just the money. I am more fulfilled just sharing with people ideas, just sharing with people knowledge, because that alone, I love to say to people, even when I'm talking to employees in workplaces, that you are always paid twice. You're paid if you're in the right trade. You're always paid by the opportunity just to do it. Just that opportunity to do it, you feel fulfilled, you have paid. And we say that if you have to miss any payment, miss the money, but don't miss that opportunity just to do it for fulfillment. Don't miss the opportunity to be able to share your experience, to also grow in your experience. So it's quite fulfilling just doing what I'm doing. And a lot of times, even when I'm called on TV, I know, Rachel, you were on TV the other day. Some of the people, when I come back, they say, so how much did they pay you? People attach everything to payment. They must be paying you. You're doing a good job. No. The moment we start attaching money to everything, we stop living. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. So somebody else, as we move towards the end. Yeah, I see, Odiam. I don't know whether your network is now better, but you've shared about your blog, which I also enjoy reading. Yes, I was thinking you wanted to talk about your chicken.
Hello, good morning again.
Good morning.
Yes, now you brought another angle to my sense of my purpose. Other than the blog, what is so fulfilling about the blog project is that it's not for money. At the moment, I'm not looking at the monetary aspect of it. The most important thing is I just enjoy writing stories. So this has given an opportunity to write about 21 years of traveling to the US, to Germany, to Amman, Jordan, to Cape Town, to Kigali, and all these other places, and relate those stories to lessons learned, challenges, anecdotes, and things of that nature. The end game is to have an ebook, which I hope that by June, God willing, I'll have an ebook and maybe even a hardcover, so that I can also, God willing, also I can also be sitting like OPP, and you'll be reading my book, and we'll be discussing about the travel destinations and the challenges that are there. Other than that, thanks to OPP, you've talked about the poultry project. Yata Jogana Salimia. I just started it just as a small joke, beginning of last year at the height of work at home with this COVID bananas. And right now, I think I have about 20 chicken, plus another 10 eggs waiting to be turned into chicks. So the lessons learned is that, yes, we look for money, we want money, but it's not money that is everything. At times, it's also important to have that human face and also have to do something that you enjoy. I like the Edna says it. You want money, yes, we want money, but let money not be everything that we're doing at whatever expense. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So in summary, I'd like to say that one, we live for each other. Like Rachel was saying, the moment she discovered how she's going to make a difference in the lives of others, she started living. We live for each other. Nobody lives for himself or herself. If we cannot be of value to each other, we're not going to see a bigger meaning for what we're doing, and we are going to run dry. Number two is, and John said the same, all these people have talked about the very same thing, touching lives. And that is when we will feel fulfilled. We related this story a couple of months ago about this guy who was marshalling wealth, doing big things, big businesses, and felt like that would make him happy. No happiness. He built big houses with lots of rooms. He wasn't happy. He demolished all of them, built bigger ones, wasn't happy. Bought cars, could see fleets of cars, wasn't happy. Bought jets. And by the end of the day, a friend of his who was coming to Africa to donate wheelchairs asked him for some few wheelchairs and asked if he could accompany him. And when they came to Africa and donated to some disabled people the wheelchairs, and one of those boys, little boys, as he was placed in his wheelchair, and tears coming out, he called the guy because he just placed him and turned to go pick another. And he called the guy and told him, "Mister, just look at me. I'd like to remember your face when I go to heaven." And that guy also, his tears started coming out, and he was touched. And from that day on, he felt like he was always empty, looking for such moments of touching lives. And that became his mission. And I understand now he's distributed millions of wheelchairs, looking for sponsors, donations from all over, and giving wheelchairs. The moment we discover why we were born, and we were born for each other, life is going to have much more meaning, and we will have a bigger reason to live. And we've also seen, even from Dr. Eda's story, how coercing even our children to be what we ourselves want them to be, the careers we may want them to be, can ruin their lives and ruin their fortune and ruin their appetite for living. And we've had so many such stories, even children going ahead to kill themselves and things like that. So, no retirement. When you are in your path, you will not see retirement because you are always in the right path. You're always at the right place. Money will follow you. There is this research, and I believe it's also written in the book, about that was done in Yale University. They picked the graduating class and asked them, will you follow the money or you will follow your purpose? You'll follow your passion. And about 5% said they will follow their purpose. Others said we will follow the money, and ultimately along the way, after we've had the money, we'll follow our purpose. These are the ones who said we'll follow our purpose, we trust money will come in. When they traced them 20 years later, they realized that these other people, the 5%, had amassed much more in life, more than all the 95% combined, because they pursued their purpose. They were able to achieve more because they were doing what was in their heart. In fact, as Trump calls it, they were in a sport. That is their sport. Just like some other people play games, others play tennis, others play football, and they are big names. You will be a big name. You will be doing your sport. You have no need you will never be bored. That's why I was talking about boring. Somebody feeling bored. Many years ago, when I finished that very year, when I was not able to go to secondary school, I went to Mombasa. My uncle was there, and he was meant to take me to school. Unfortunately, he didn't. Now, during those days, I would go watch video in the afternoons at times. After coming from the marketplace, I would go and sell for my aunt in Kongowea, Sokompia, they called it, selling clothes. Then after that, in the afternoon, nothing much to do, I would sit with some other people watching videos, and I would see the way people were enjoying music. I was watching music videos, and they are very excited doing it, and you feel like, I'd really like to live like this. Is it really working? It's not work, but that is work. So many years later in Nairobi, I was in a band, attending some live band concert, and I was seeing the same thing, and I enjoyed what they're doing. But in another band, in another restaurant, I would say, club, somebody there was making a lot of noise, quarreling people, but he's the one supposed to be entertaining people. And I realized it's always easy to know when somebody is living their purpose. The earliest, the better. The earlier, the better. When are you supposed to discover your purpose? The earlier, the better. But whichever the time you discover it, you are still in time, just do it. Just follow it. So those are the final comments I'd like to make. Unless somebody else has something else to say. We are past time, 4 minutes past time. I see.
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Eda?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there's a syndrome which is called Impostor Syndrome. I don't know if other people have heard of it, but Impostor Syndrome is really suffered by a person who is in a situation where they know they are not supposed to be, or they feel they're not supposed to be according to their purpose. So even when, I used to have a lot of guilt and shame because I knew how many children, every child you ask, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. And yet here I was not appreciating what God had given me in terms of a job and a career. So, and then people would say, oh, you're a doctor, and they would get so impressed. And I would feel like, no, that's not my identity. So when you're not in the place that you're supposed to be, though you might have a lot of prestige in the society, you get something which is, you just feel something that's totally against who you are as a person. It's called Imposter Syndrome. I think we can all look it up and then talk about it next week.
Thank you very
Because
much.
an imposter is somebody who is pretending to be what they are not. So you always feel like, I'm so fake. Yeah. I'm so fake and people are calling me this, but that's not me.
Yes, thank you very much for that contribution. We can all seek that. And this is just the beginning of this discussion. We are going to have a few more sessions about the same until we finish that very section of the book. I see Maurice asked there some question about unlocking our mental attitude to reach our potential. And part of how to do it is exactly what we are doing. Studying and learning and hearing stories from each other. And that is what creates inspiration. That is what creates inspiration. We always need education and inspiration in order to move on. Somebody says we don't just need inspiration, because if somebody is headed the wrong way and you inspire them, they may just reach faster where they are not supposed to reach. So we need education so that we know where we should go, and then inspiration to be able to go there and reach it earlier. Thank you very much.